What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Your guys, Derek and Cody, with you. So, guys, over the last hour since we started recording this, two more NFL teams have decided on their head coaches. One was very surprising. The other one, not as much surprising. The big news was the Denver Broncos actually getting Sean Payton from the New Orleans Saints. I mean, we were hearing about it, Cody. Sean Payton said he had a 70% chance of going back to Fox. And finally, a team said that they were going to invest and they want to throw all that draft capital Sean Payton's way, or towards the Saints' way for Sean Payton. And surprisingly enough, you and I were talking about it just before this. Ironically enough, that he wasn't the first choice for the Denver Broncos. They actually wanted Jim Harbaugh from before, but that didn't end up turning out well. And then they tried to snag DeMeco Ryans, tried to throw one last proposal at him to come be their coach, but then he decided on the Texans, which we're going to talk about too. And then the Broncos just said, all right, well, we're going with Sean Payton. And then, of course, the unsurprising news that DeMeco Ryans is, in fact, going to the Houston Texans. Almost everyone expected it, even as early as last week. We all kind of expected it. So, Cody, I mean, what's your initial thoughts when you hear about, like, this news?
I'll start with just the news itself, then we can get into more like how this impacts the Colts and stuff like that. But as far as the Sean Payton one, I think we're all kind of taken aback by that one. And Denver has been talking about, just they look at how much they've given up for two individuals. Gave up that huge amount for Russell Wilson last offseason. And then this offseason, right, they give with the Bradley Chubb trade, I believe it was, right? They give away that pick. So they don't have a first round pick again. And it's just kind of funny how, really, if you think about it, Sean Payton was kind of their third choice, right? You talked about with Jim Harbaugh, talked about with DeMeco Ryans, and then it's almost like comical when you think about it, because it's like they're like, okay, we'll settle on Sean Payton, which meant giving up all that draft capital, and they were just fine with that. And so, man, Denver is going all in to try to be relevant, man. They want to win, and they want to win now. I mean, this is so aggressive by them. They are very much in that win now mentality, and so just absolutely kind of crazy how that all has transpired and stuff. I mean, I think we all kind of thought, oh, Sean Payton's not going to be in the coaching cycle this year, maybe next year. This is kind of comes out of left field, honestly, when thinking about that. As far as DeMeco Ryans goes, I mean, not much of a surprise, like you said, former Houston player, is really well known, really well respected in that organization. And to bring him in, he's a guy that is going to bring that kind of culture, right? And I've already talked about how I love DeMeco Ryans and stuff. I think Houston, regardless of, what the record maybe looks like year one, they're going to play hard. I think, honestly, you think about it, both these teams, two teams in the AFC South now have former, really, really good players as their head coaches now. And both of these guys, and I'm talking about Mike Vrabel, of course, as the other one, they're going to get the best out of their guys. So, man, you look at this from even a year ago, the AFC South's getting a little tough, man. You got Doug Peterson in there as well with the Jaguars. Houston, and I think that even more so makes it so critical that the Colts nail this head coaching hire, because the AFC South's got some pretty darn good coaches now, Derek.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you there. I mean, you're looking at how these teams are going about. I mean, it only makes more sense that the Indianapolis Colts now have a lot more pressure on them with getting the right guy, and this kind of puts them in a situation, right, where we obviously knew that Sean Payton did not want to come to Indianapolis. We all knew this, and DeMeco Ryans now coming in. We expected that now, but from this perspective, now that these teams are there, so that now means 3 of the 5 teams that have head coach hirings needed have now filled their vacancies. The Panthers have filled it with Frank Reich, Houston Texans now with DeMeco Ryans, and Denver Broncos now with Sean Payton. So it leaves 2 teams left, the Indianapolis Colts and the Arizona Cardinals. Now, we have heard a lot of the candidates, Cody, when it comes to the Indianapolis Colts. Raheem Morris had a good one. Apparently, the Colts are flying out to Philadelphia to interview Shane Steichen personally. Brian Callahan is going to get an interview here in the next day or two. So it's going to be interesting how that goes down. But I mean, do you think, Cody, that the pressure's now on for Indianapolis, especially now knowing the Cardinals want to interview Callahan and maybe another guy in there as well that we want? Do you think now the pressure's on for Indianapolis to get something done before the end of the week?
I think so also in terms of assistants too, right? Because these assistants are going to start flying off the board for these new coaches. Colts got to get this guy locked in here soon. I really think by the end of the week at the very latest at this point, because you got to get some of these other guys, right? So you think about some other guys that you've interviewed. Say you hire Raheem Morris, maybe get a Giro Vero in there at defensive coordinator. Like things like that like you just need to fill out your staff very quickly because that's kind of I guess the negatives of having one of the last teams to hire your head coach is you don't have the leg up on some of these other teams to get your assistants and get the guys you really, really want that are still out there. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's very critical the Colts nail this. I think the good thing in terms of this is that Colts have, and for me personally, I don't know where the Colts stand, obviously, but I'd be fine with any three of Raheem Morris, of Callahan, or of Shane Steichen. I'd be fine with any of those guys. I think they all have bright futures as NFL head coaches. And I think the Colts they just need to just take this process and, really make this decision quickly. But I don't think they can go wrong with any of those three guys. It's just a matter of who blew them the way the most, right? So I think for me, I'm good with them being patient. I think their patience has paid off, and they're not in a situation now where, you feel like, oh, there's 3 or 4 teams vying for 2 guys. That's not the case here. Colts actually have an abundance of candidates here. So I really think they have a great opportunity here to really be able to nail this head coaching hire. But they got to get it done sooner rather than later, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, again, guys, when it comes to the Cardinals and the Colts now, I mean, you're trying to find the best candidate, but you also don't want to wait too long because you're going to be in a situation in a pretty much a free agent bidding war when it comes to the coaches right now. So it is what it is, but you and I talked about it, Cody, how, Sean Payton going to Denver would be a fantastic thing because then it just takes another team off the board for any of these 3 guys that we want to hire potentially. So, or even somebody else that, is in that portal of candidates that the Colts may deem be the best fit. It is kind of funny though, going off topic here for a second, Cody, when you look back at obviously what Denver traded for Sean Payton, giving up their first rounder this year that they acquired from San Francisco for the Bradley Chubb thing that they gave up.
Miami, right?
Yeah, Miami, which had it. And then it obviously was, San Francisco from before. And then you also are giving up potentially your second rounder for next year as well. And you might be getting a third for Sean Payton as well. So they basically inevitably, Cody, gave up 3 first rounders and 3 second rounders for Russell Wilson and Sean Payton. So they've bet pretty much their immediate future on Sean Payton being able to figure things out with Russell Wilson. Do you think it's going to end up paying out for them?
I mean, gosh, and not just that, but look how much they're paying. They're going to be paying these 2 guys, man. I mean, their entire future is in the hands of these 2 guys, And I mean, Sean Payton's a great coach. I really do believe he is. But man, I don't know. Like, you look at that AFC West and how dangerous that is. I mean, it's clear that they believe that they have the roster to be able to do that. They just didn't have the head coach in place this last year. So, as far as I go, if I'm betting, do I think that this propels Denver to a Super Bowl or like contending for a Super Bowl? I mean, honestly, Derek, I don't really see that. Now, again, Sean Payton, he's a Super Bowl winning coach, so you never know, and coaching does matter. But I just feel like Denver's kind of just swinging, and I don't know how much they're going to actually be hitting at this point. I mean, it kind of seemed like a desperation move. I don't know if you felt that, but it feels like Denver's been very desperate the last couple off seasons. I mean, we even saw with the Russell Wilson thing, right? They hired Nathaniel Hackett trying to get Aaron Rodgers here last year, and that didn't pan out. And then so they've had both of their second options essentially, and they've traded away a crap ton for it. And I just don't personally feel like that kind of desperation is the way to go here to build a winning franchise. That's just my perspective. Again, I'm a Colts fan, and we know about just some dysfunction in the organization as of recent. So maybe I'm not one to talk, but yeah, to me, I don't know. I'm not a firm believer in Denver at this point. With how much they struggled last year, and now it seems like they're doing some similar patterns. Now, Sean Payton might very well be a great coach. He might be the exact coach that needs to get the most out of this roster and Russell Wilson. But if I'm betting, I think it's still clearly Kansas City, and it's not even close in my opinion. But maybe I'm wrong on that. What do you think?
I don't know. It just seems like a lot of things went wrong for Denver this last year. It all comes down to, again, is Russell Wilson going to actually be a competent quarterback? If they can have a competent quarterback, then I think at the end of the day, Denver can, make some noise in the AFC West. It's just the problem is again, they had no offensive production. And does Sean Payton bring that? I think he definitely does. And then going off topic here to DeMeco Ryans real quick. You already kind of mentioned it, but we'll bring it back. DeMeco Ryans, again, going to Houston. Again, everyone expected it. Played in Houston. It seemed like a comeback home moment for them. How do you feel personally, again, about DeMeco Ryans coming into the AFC South and leading the Houston Texans? It feels like a really good fit to me.
Yeah, I think he's going to get Houston ready to go. He's going to give them an identity that they haven't had. He's going to make them tough. I really do feel like he's going to make them tough, and they're going to play hard. And they're going to be, I don't know how good they'll be in year one or year two, going with a rookie quarterback. And again, it also will depend. Who does he bring in as OC? Who's going to work with that rookie quarterback, whether it's Young, whether it's Stroud, whether it's one of those guys. I'm not sure. But, I don't know. I think as far as, accountability and playing hard, and I think DeMeco Ryans, obviously you talked about, beloved by this city. I think it's a great fit for what Houston wants to do. And I'll just be interested to see who do they pair along that rookie quarterback. That's going to be the biggest thing for me.
Yep, absolutely agree with you. Well, guys, this is basically just going to be a quick one. I mean, the Indianapolis Colts are pretty much still on the clock here for a coaching hire. Now that the Denver Broncos and the Houston Texans now have their coach, things are going to have to amp up for the Indianapolis Colts. Who knows? We'll see when the Colts are going to get theirs. But that's going to do it for this one, guys. Let us know your thoughts on these hires and what do you think that does for the Indianapolis Colts and them trying to hire someone. But thank you guys again so much for tuning in. And as always, go Colts.